And hello, welcome into the YALL Show. I'm John Rawl, and we're glad that you could join us here for what we call our Nashville Music Line Report. We have Precious Harris joining us for this. And if you haven't tuned in to hear Precious on the YALL Show before, well, you're, first of all, really missing out. But secondly, let me tell you a little bit about Miss Precious Harris. As she is right on Music Row in Nashville, Tennessee, and she covers all things country. She's the author of I Know Country. That's got 366 daily country music questions and answers, and you can buy and instantly download your ebook copy at iknowcountry.com. Precious is also a music career development consultant with an emphasis on new and aspiring artists. You can also go to the website collegeofasongology.com to learn more about how she helps out, and also follow Precious Harris's blog, NashvilleMusicLine.com. And we are just so darn happy to have Precious Harris join us right now on the YALL Show. Hello, Precious.
Hello, how are you?
Well, we are just doing great. How the heck are you, Precious?
Well, I had a full day yesterday. I'm doing really good. I got to hang out with a couple of hit writers and a couple of artists that are songwriters on the new Chris Lane single. So, yeah, but he was celebrating. It's not the new single for his tour, but it's his number one song, and it's based around using pickup lines to pick up girls. But anyway, but we had a really good time. And so I've had a really good day yesterday, but I'm ready for today.
All right,
It's going to
now
be a good day.
you're mentioning a name that a lot of us have not heard of, Chris Lane. Tell me more.
Okay. Chris Lane, this is his first number one song. Um, but anyway, he is an artist on Big Loud Records. And some of his artist mates are Jake Owen and Morgan Wallen. And in that creative room, it's Craig Wiseman from Laurel, Mississippi.
Yep.
And he actually started the company. And y'all know Craig because Live Like You Were Dying and several other mega hits. He had a huge hit for Blake Shelton, but he was known as a songwriter. But
Mm-hmm.
he started. Then he, of course, he was always a publisher, and then he became a record label. But he's the first one that Florida Georgia Line actually got interested in helping them develop themselves. So he's one of the reasons why that they would literally paint houses during the day and write songs at night. And of course, Craig signed Hardy to his. He's got Devin Dawson on his publishing company. He's got Hardy on his publishing company, and a kid named uh, Hunter Phelps. Anyway, but he was there today and is one of the writers, and he's got a new single out. So it's um, the first, it's a 44th song and sort of 45th. It depends on how you look at it for Ashley Gorley, but it was a first number one for two of the writers. So it was pretty intensive party. Everybody and their mother was there, media and everything. So it was good just to hang out and see everybody.
Well, I'm glad that you had a chance to do just that, Precious. And I want to tell you, you talk about this relative newcomer with their first number one. Unfortunately, he's going to have a new sort of competition to deal with on the air charts, at least. And I want to get your input on this new act called Hot Country Nights. That's with a K, Knigths. And first of all, let me tell you, if you're old enough to remember this, when I first heard of this group's name, I immediately thought back to the NBC syndicated. No, it wasn't syndicated. It was actually on the Peacock Network on Sunday nights back when country was booming in the early 90s. And I
Yep.
think Dick Clark Productions actually produced this thing. And it's where a lot of artists got their first national exposure. But now, Hot Country Nights, and Nights this time with a K, is out with the new single Pick Her Up. And there's a familiar face, although in disguise, as part of this new group, Hot Country Nights. Precious, tell us about it.
Well, actually, I have someone who was actually filming part of the video. They were there that day, so I got some inside scoop. But the 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 artist is actually Dirks Bentley, but it's featuring Travis Tritt.
Aha.
Okay, so what he does is the band Hot Country Nights has been opening for Dirks Bentley, who produced and co-wrote "Pick Her Up." Then the track, of course, is already out, and he's got. If you go to YouTube and you look up some of the EPKs, I cannot believe some of the things I heard out of his mouth. But anyway, but that's the way it was in the 1980s, so to speak. But anyway, it's actually going to be, of course, the YouTube videos. They've been promoting YouTube and digital media across the board, Instagrams, all that. But it's actually going to hit country radio on February the 3rd. But you got to go to YouTube and look up the video.
Oh, and this video is already out, you said?
Yeah, it's on YouTube, yeah. But the single doesn't go to country radio until February the 3rd to get out. But it's the video's already out, and they've been promoting it because it's like a lead into. But I will tell you, Doug Douglason, okay, is actually the alter ego of Dierks Bentley, okay?
Really?
Yeah, he's sort of Clark Kent, Doug's Superman, so to speak, or vice versa. But it's almost like the Garth Brooks and Chris Gaines thing.
Oh, yeah, back in the 90s when Garth was also Chris Gaines.
Yes.
Which
And
was
of
based on
course,
Keith Urban, by the way.
yeah, exactly. But Garth, he didn't leave the genre. He sort of did because he looked more rock and roll and a little bit more edgy.
Mm-hmm.
But Dirks went back 2 to 3 decades, 4 decades. Sorry, I graduated in 1980. So yeah, in my 40-year class reunions this year. So yeah, it's like four decades ago.
Right.
Decades are 10 years, right?
That is absolutely true on that. Check out this new group again. It's called Hot Country Nights, and the YouTube video available, and perhaps we'll be competing for that prized air position on radio stations across the country. Now, the alter ego of that, Dierks Bentley, he, like myself, got our start in Nashville working at CMT and the Nashville Network, and the old employer, CMT, did something last week, and I want to get your opinion first on this, Precious, before I weigh in. But this is the story. CMT last week has now pledged that all of its music video programming will consist of 50% female artists going forward, as the network put out a tweet that said, effective immediately, all music video hours of CMT and CMT music channels will have completely parity between male and female artists. That means 50-50, and they put the hashtag CMT Equal play. Precious, your thoughts on what's going on there in Nashville at CMT?
Well, I think it's because, honestly, um, the lady that is spearheading this one is a lady named Leslie Frame, which I've known for many years. But I think they're just trying to come to terms because you've got several ladies like Kelsey Ballerini and some other ones who are talking about, hey, we really need to fix this problem. But the problem is not just one area. It's different. It's across the radio. It's the labels signing a handful of females, in a truckload of males. But it's been that way for a while. But since the country genre has completely went full circle, and now you've got, there's a Loretta Lynn and Tammy Wynette and the people that you knew is there, what they call the true women of country music, and Miss Tanya Tucker, and her congratulations on her Grammy, that it's turned the tables. And I think CMT's under pressure. I'm glad to see it. I just hope that they do, because even if you look at the country charts, the quota from female artists to male artists is still very uneven.
Precious.
So I'm anxious to see how they're going to make it work on the programming, honestly.
Precious, I don't mean to brag, but what time period in the last 50 years was country music dominating all formats from a sales standpoint, from a airplay standpoint, and from a video standpoint? What period of time are we talking about?
1990s.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a very astute point you bring up. In the 1990s, at the height of that movement where country music was dominating, I just happened to be a 20-something-year-old punk kid who had a position at CMT where I actually was a programming coordinator. I essentially had the same job this woman that just put this release out declaring a 50-50 airplay of CMT. I had the same job at the height of country music. So I actually know a little bit of what I'm talking about here. And I will tell you, going back 25 years, when I was putting those great videos on CMT, that we did play music from female artists, but female artists at that time, there were actually more then, I think, than now, but there also were a lot more artists, period, than what we have now. And we kind of treated the female artists as wild cards, and we tried to put female artists 2 to 3 times an hour, and we would sandwich them between male artists or groups. So they've always been treated special, but it didn't mean we had to carry 50% of our programming from female artists, which in those days you had people like Kathy Mattea, you had Patty Loveless, Mary Chapin Carpenter, and others putting out great music videos. And for CMT to do this, I think, was just a little bit reactionary, part of the cancel culture. In this case, they're going after that radio guy who said something smart about women in country music. And we've talked about this, I think, with you before, Precious, that the fact is country music's demand and the main loyal listeners are actually females.
Yes, they are. And if you also, matter of fact, in the last 6 months, you've got Mary Chapin Carpenter who just announced a new tour.
Awesome.
Yeah, you've got Leanne Womack who had a Grammy nominated record without a record label. You know, so there's several female artists, and the biggest thing is Trisha Yearwood. My God, she has a current tour and a current record, but I haven't seen any videos, so I'm hoping that it will be able to have more videos. I know she has some with Garth and stuff, but I haven't seen any videos released per se. They do more now on YouTube, but actually on the CMT or GAC. But Trisha Yearwood is such an incredible artist. I would love to see more of her. And now you got Miss Tanya, once again, who's back out there after 17 years, I think, without a record, an album coming out. So I see some of the female coming in there, but the last 5 years, there's not been really a steady level of artists where it can at least go from, instead of 70-30 to 40-60. So I'm anxious to see. You know, I know that Black River has got Kelsey Ballerini and I know Abby Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
And then I know that Ashley McBride and Gabby and now Warner Brothers did let Margot go, Margot Price, but they kept their, you know, they're still trying to keep the traditional, you know, of the country there. And I'm just anxious to see. I know that Carrie left Sony and she's gone to UMG. You've got Miranda on RCA, so there is some artists coming up, but it's still going to be. I don't know. I just don't understand. It's still going to be an even. I just can't see when the chart's so even how CMT is going to try to even out the videos when you're going to see a whole lot more videos than on males than you do female. I'm anxious to see how it plays out, honestly.
Well, my
But I have
only
to agree
problem
with
with this
you.
equation they've come out with, Precious, is that I feel like some of the really good male artists are going to get less spins. The female artists who may not have as good of music, they'll get more spins, and it just opens up a can of worms. I want, instead of 50-50, I just want 100% great music, just like it was when I was programming CMT.
I agree. That's exactly. I was gonna. You took the words right out of my mouth. Somebody's gonna suffer. It's either gonna be new up and coming male artists, or it's gonna be something's got to give until that we get a good equal amount on the charts. You know, I hope it turns out okay for our genre side, just because I love country music, but because I work with a lot of new artists, I just hate because of 50-50, a really good artist that's been here working their butt off for 12 years that gets to that point that they don't get played because it's that 50-50 rule. That's where I'm a little bit anxious, you know. But I'm like you. All I want is just great music, period.
Or you can steal an idea I just came up with, Precious, to ensure I think I'm going to become a new country music artist. I'm going to be the first. I'm going to be the first artist you can't put in a box. You don't know if I'm a male or female, and therefore they'll just play my music video all the time.
Oh, you're funny.
Yeah,
That's a good idea, though. But yeah, that's it, because you won't be in a box.
yeah, that's right. Hey, Precious, look, speaking of female artists, I want to bring up this artist who a lot of you may not be familiar with, this newcomer, Brandy Clark. She's got a new album called Your Life as a Record. It debuts on Warner Brothers on March 6th, and in advance of that album, she's got a new song out called Who You Thought I Was. Tell me more not about Terry Clark, but Brandy Clark.
Well, Brandy's actually started out as a songwriter, a massive hit songwriter. But it's so funny. Actually, one of the songs she had out called Crazy Women about 2 or 3 years ago, she actually, that actually got pitched to my client, and my client cut it on her record before Brandy redid it. One
Oh,
day I'm listening, I'm like, oh my God, that sounds like my client. But I realized it was Brandy.
uh,
But yeah, she's been around for a while.
Well, that's great. And again, the new single is Who You Thought I Was. This is on the Warner Records imprint, and you can check out the album that's coming out in March. Your Life is a Record, Brandy Clark. Well, we got to take a break, Precious. When we come back here on the Y'all Show, we want everybody to stick around. We've got some exciting recap of this past weekend's Grammy Awards from Los Angeles. Precious has already mentioned the name Tanya Tucker. We'll find out what world is all about. Plus, one of my great country music favorites, a guy who has a voice that's like an angel. And he's no young angel. He's a seasoned angel. I'm talking, I think he's in his 70s, maybe pushing 80. And of all things, this Texas native just got inducted into the Grand Ole Opry. And I want to know more about it. I'm going to ask Precious about who this lucky guy was. And we'll have all that information. As we go to break here on the Y'all Show, we got a trivia question to ask you. And this trivia question is, can you name the country artist whose album Room to Breathe was certified gold by RIAA on this date back in 2004, 16 years ago? We'll have the answer to that and a whole lot more as the Y'all Show continues after this break. And we're back on the Y'all Show, talk with a southern accent. And hey, we are trying to give female artists a little love. That's a great female artist with a good song there that will answer who that person is in just a second. This is the Y'all Show. I'm John Rawl, and we're here with Precious Harris as part of our Nashville music line as we continue on with this show that's all about the Southeast. Our website is y'all.com, where you can find the podcast of this, also the video interview that we're doing currently here with Precious, all that at YALL.com. Precious, as we went to break, we asked the trivia question, can you name the country artist whose album Room to Breathe was certified gold on this date back in 2004? And Precious, that lucky answer would be?
Reba McEntire.
Oh, Reba Nell with a great song, as Room to Breathe was an album recorded by country music's favorite redhead. And this was Reba's 23rd studio album. And Room to Breathe, 16 years ago. And Reba's had a roller coaster ride over the last 25 years where she's had moments where she's gotten a lot of airplay. Then she's been out in Hollywood recording TV shows like Reba, and then she's back making music. Do we know what the current status of Reba McEntire is?
Yes, Reba actually, she did like 2 years ago, I think, but she was honored at NSAI for her. She actually was honored as an artist, but she was also honoring the songwriters. But Reba is very much still. She signed with a division of Big Machine Label Group. I'm not for sure which one it is. I want to say Valerie, but I'm not for sure. But anyway, but she's here looking at new music and thinking about recording. She's not on the pitch sheet, and I heard that somebody said that she is thinking about doing another record.
Oh, well, we are ready for Reba McEntire to get back in that studio and record great music because, I mean, like I said, she's had a little bit of a roller coaster ride where some of her hits, some of the songs have been true hits over just this last decade, and it can't wait to get more Reba music out as she has such talent. And again, a great album that came out back in 2004 called Room to Breathe. Well, let's talk about another artist from the Reba McEntire generation. And this artist has done something that a lot of people would never have guessed that she would do, and that's win Grammy, maybe even more than one. I haven't been able to count out the total number of Grammy winners. I'm talking about Miss Tanya Tucker. What a big night she had Sunday in Los Angeles at the Grammy Awards. Precious, what an accomplishment by, I think, is she the Little Miss Dynamite, or is that Brenda Lee?
Brenda Lee. Tanya Tucker's Little Miss Tanya.
Okay.
Yeah.
My apologies, Brenda Lee.
It's okay. But they're all friends. Like I said, they were both very young. Tanya was, there's some discrepancy, but, because when the song was released and it was on the charts forever, but she was 13 when she became a household word, with Delta Dawn. And Brenda Lee was, 13 when she had her first record. So that's the one thing that those two do have in common is superstars before they even hit their Sweet 16 birthday parties. But but I'll have to say I've been watching Tanya for the last year because she's been in town, and one of my good friends is her publicist. Um, so just seeing this happen to her, I knew that it was coming around because she had Waylon Jennings' son, Shooter Jennings, and Brandy Carlisle producing her record, and they actually wrote most of the record. Brandy did for Tanya, and it was take they took their time. They went through the songs to make sure it was Tanya's signature thing because she's grown as an artist and things, but she still wanted to remain true to her roots. In an interview I heard for her the other day by one of my friends, but I was so glad that she won. Uh, of course, best song of the year, and for country, and then album of the year. So I'm pretty happy for her.
Yeah, Billboard had an article out with a headline: Tanya and Billy Ray party like it's 1992 at Grammys.
Yeah, they were there both at the 19. Because see, Billy Ray Cyrus when he swept the awards for Achy Breaky Heart. Of course, that's when Tanya was at the height. She was on Capitol back then, and so yeah, that's when they won their first ever Grammys.
Wow. Well, it was a
Was this
great
past
accomplishment
Sunday.
and a lot of
Mhm.
big winners. Hey, Willie Nelson even won at this year's, what was it, the 62nd Grammy Awards. Willie Nelson, he won his latest Grammy, his 10th Grammy for Best Solo Country Performance for the song Ride Me Back Home. Willie in his late 80s, he's winning. Tanya Tucker, Tanya's what, in her 60s?
Mhm. Yeah, because she's 7 years older than me, and I'm 58. So yeah, she's in mid 60s.
Okay. But a blast from the past. I have to wonder, though, Precious, let's be honest. I don't know who the Grammy voters are these days, but I assume a lot of them are under the age of 40, and a lot of them
Mhm.
had to have never heard of Tanya Tucker. I'm sorry, I'm biased. What do you think of that?
Well, I am a Grammy member, so I can see that. But a lot of the people that are my age that's been in Nashville for the last 20 or 30 years, they are Grammy members. It takes you have to be first, you have to apply, you have to have recommendations, and then you get voted on and to be into them. It used to be called NARAS, the National Science Recording Arts and Sciences, National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences, NARAS, but now it's just called the Grammys. But anyway, but yeah, they range from the time that you start, but you have to work in the industry. You have to be part of the from. You can't just be someone who loves music and wants to join the Grammys. You have to be a working, making a living in the music industry or entertainment industry, which could be music, movies, trailers for movies. You have to have that job for your make a living or you can't be a part of it. So you're probably right that they're like 18, 21 up to 60 and 70.
I mean,
But to
I
be a
hope she
voting
got it.
member,
I hope she got it honest. But I just
oh
have to
yeah,
say,
she
since
did.
we haven't heard of Tanya Tucker number one in almost 30 years, I think it.
Well, she had her last album was out 17 years ago.
Okay. Well, it
So
didn't
yeah,
have a hit song. I can assure you of that.
yeah, not one that you would remember.
Yeah. But we love Tanya Tucker. And Tanya, you are welcome to come on the Y'all Show with John Rawl and our Nashville insider, Precious Harris, anytime you feel like it. I think she hangs out in Franklin. So next time I'm there in Williamson County, I'll go by her farm and ask her to come on the Y'all Show.
Well, actually, her publicist is like one block over and down about seven houses, or what before it becomes apartment buildings on Music Road. It's
Ah,
disappearing one brick at a time. But yeah, we'll just may have to connect you guys to hopefully get Tanya on there because she is probably one of the most laid back, best interviews ever.
yep.
And if you ever get a chance, watch the documentary about her, the interview she did. I want to say with Barbara Walters, but it's not. Very honest, down to earth. This is the way it is, and she didn't hold anything back. She told it exactly in true Tanya form. I hate to say the true Tanya, Tucker form, but she's always been honest with her listeners. She's always been honest with her fans, and she's always been honest with anybody that was a fan of her music or been part of it. You never see her turning around and saying something different. What you see is what you get. And I think that's why that she's able to do this again and hit the top of the charts after 17 years. Because I will tell you, country music fans appreciate honesty.
Well,
So
we
that's
like
just me thinking
honesty,
about her.
and we're
Yeah.
fans of country music here on the Y'all Show. The fans like myself, we like honesty, but we also like a great story. And as we wrap up with Precious here today, what about a heartwarming story of a country legend? Now, he's not on the level of a George Jones or Merle Haggard, but if you've tuned in country radio over the last 50 years, you've heard Gene Watson sing hits like 14 Karat Mind and Farewell Party. And Precious, something happened to him just the other day, 55 years ago, 55 years after he made his first appearance on the Ryman stage at the Grand Ole Opry. What happened to Texas native Gene Watson?
He was asked to be a Grand Ole Opry member by Mr. Vince in skill, of course. And don't tell my dad that he's not up there with George Jones, because my dad, every time he's near Bowling Green or Kentucky, hey, can you get me some tickets to Gene Watson? So he is like when I told him about it, he goes, it's about time. So, my dad's 81, so that tells you, and I have to agree with my dad. It's about time. I'm so glad that he was asked. Long overdue. There is some talk on Music Row that he should have been asked before Luke Combs. But anyway, but I'm just glad that he's made it, and that just makes me very happy.
Gene,
Just like
after
Charlie Daniels.
he was asked to join the Grand Ole Opry, he said, I'm not sure I have anything left after that kind of surprise, and got a standing ovation at the Grand Ole Opry. Congratulations to Gene Watson, a guy who, again, has had a lot of hits but hasn't sold billions of records or became a household name like the George Jones and Haggards and all the other legends. But he's been very active. He's been touring nonstop pretty much his whole career, and a very
Yes.
well-deserved honor for Gene Watson. What a great story to wrap up with you, Precious.
Well, thank you, dear. And I also I got a call from a country artist. Well, he was a he's had a career since 1992, starting out with 2020. But I actually judged him in a talent competition in 1990, 91. Anyway, he actually has been invited to be in the Kentucky Music Hall of Fame. And I judged him in a talent contest, one of the very first ones he ever entered. And so him and his wife has asked me to be their guest for him to get inducted into the Kentucky Music Hall of Fame, and it's Marty Brown.
Oh, awesome.
So I thought that's pretty cool. I'm very excited about that.
Well, we're excited too. Precious Harris, thank you so much for coming on the Y'all Show, and we look forward to catching up with you again next week.
Sounds good. Have a blessed day, everyone.
All right, and that will wrap up the Y'all Show today. Thank you for listening. We'll be right back here on Thursday with an all-new show that's all about the South.